Far beyond the familiar stars, in a galaxy filled with strange worlds and powerful empires, there was a planet called Zarnuk. It was home to the Zarnuk people, a proud and strong alien race. They had ruled their corner of space for centuries. Their leader, the alien queen, was both feared and respected. She was known for her sharp mind and her calm but powerful rule. One day, the calm of Zarnuk was broken by a sudden, violent crash. A strange ship, unlike any the Zarnuk had seen before, fell from the sky and smashed into the great mountains near the capital city. The ground shook and rocks tumbled down as the fire from the ship's engines burned out. The people of Zarnuk rushed to the crash site. When the smoke cleared, they found a figure lying beside the broken ship. It was a human, a rare visitor from a distant star. Humans were known to the galaxy as fierce warriors, but no one had seen one so close before. This human was different. He looked strong and dangerous, but there was a quiet calm in his eyes. His name was Ronan. News of Ronan's arrival spread quickly through the city and reached the ears of the alien queen. She sat on her throne in the great hall, surrounded by her advisors and guards. When she heard about the human warrior, a small smile touched her lips. The stories she had heard about humans told of their unpredictable nature and their fierce spirit. She knew that Ronan was not an ordinary man. The queen ordered that Ronan be brought before her. She wanted to see this human for herself. When Ronan arrived, the room fell silent. His armor was worn but strong, and his face showed signs of many battles. He looked around calmly, not afraid of the strange creatures and the grand hall. The queen's eyes studied him carefully. "Human," she said in a voice that was soft but full of power. "You have come to my world without permission. Tell me why." Ronan met her gaze without hesitation. "I came to find a place where I can fight for what is right. I seek no trouble unless it is forced upon me." The queen raised an eyebrow. "Your reputation says otherwise. You are known as a ruthless warrior. Why should I believe you are anything but a danger?" Ronan's lips curled into a small smile. "I am ruthless to my enemies, but I fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. I do what must be done." The queen was silent for a moment. Then she stood and walked closer to him. "You are unlike any human I have met before. Most would fear this place or try to run. But you stand here with courage." Ronan nodded. "Fear does not rule me." The queen returned to her throne. "If you wish to survive on Zarnuk, you will need allies. Perhaps even more than that." "What do you mean?" Ronan asked. The queen's eyes shone with a strange light. "On my planet, we have a ritual called bonding. It is an ancient ceremony where two beings join their strengths and souls. It creates a powerful connection, one that cannot be broken easily." Ronan frowned slightly. "And you want me to bond with you?" "Yes," she said calmly. "It is not a simple request. To bond with me is to become part of the empire itself. You would gain power, respect, and a place at my side. But it is also a test of loyalty and strength." Ronan thought carefully. He was a warrior used to challenges and battles, but this was different. Bonding meant giving a part of himself to another, sharing power in a way he did not understand. Still, the offer was tempting. With the queen's power, he could change things for the better. "I need time to decide," he said finally. The queen nodded. "Very well. You will stay in the city under watch. You will meet my people and learn their ways. If you choose to bond, it will be on your terms." Ronan was led to a chamber where he could rest and recover. The city around him was strange but alive. People stared, some with fear, others with curiosity. He knew his presence was a challenge to their world, but also a chance. That night, Ronan looked out at the stars. He remembered his home, far away, and the battles he had fought. But here, on this distant planet, a new story was beginning. One that would test his strength, his will, and his heart. The alien queen herself had noticed him. And for the first time, she felt a tremble of uncertainty. Because this human warrior was different. Ruthless, yes, but also something more. Something that could change everything. The days passed slowly for Ronan in the grand city of Zarnuk. The palace was unlike anything he had ever seen. Tall, shining towers reached toward the sky, and glowing lights lit the streets even when the twin moons were high. Yet, despite the beauty, Ronan felt the weight of many eyes watching him wherever he went. The alien queen had kept her promise. He was free to move, but guards always stayed near. The people whispered when they saw him, and children would peek from behind their parents. Ronan knew he was a stranger here, but he was no stranger to being alone. One morning, a messenger arrived at his chambers. The queen requested his presence in the throne room. As Ronan walked through the palace halls, he noticed the eyes of many following him. Some looked with respect, others with doubt. He reached the throne room, where the queen waited, seated on her high throne, calm and powerful. "Human warrior," she said without standing. "You have spent several days in my city. You have seen the strength of my empire. But words are easy. Action is what matters." Ronan nodded. "I am ready to prove myself." The queen's eyes gleamed. "Good. Then I have a challenge for you." She waved her hand, and a large holographic map appeared between them. It showed a distant outpost on the edge of Zarnuk's territory. The outpost had been taken over by rebels, creatures who wanted to break the queen's rule. They were dangerous and well armed. "This outpost holds a key position," the queen explained. "If you reclaim it, you will prove your loyalty and your strength. Many have tried and failed. The rebels are clever and fierce." Ronan studied the map carefully. "What help will I receive?" "None. This mission is yours alone. If you succeed, you will gain my trust. Fail, and you will leave Zarnuk. I do not accept failure lightly." Ronan's jaw tightened. "Understood." He left the throne room with a plan forming in his mind. He knew that brute strength alone would not win this battle. He would have to be smart, quick, and ruthless. The next day, Ronan prepared for the journey. He packed only what was necessary: his weapons, armor, and survival tools. The people he passed stared again, some with hope, others with fear. As he reached the edge of the city, he looked back once. The alien queen's palace stood tall, a reminder of the challenge ahead. The journey to the outpost was long and difficult. The land grew wild and dangerous as he traveled. Strange creatures watched him from the shadows, and the wind carried distant sounds of battle. When Ronan finally arrived, the outpost was quiet, too quiet. The rebels had set traps and hidden themselves well. But Ronan was not an ordinary warrior. He moved carefully, using his training to avoid dangers and find weaknesses. The night before the attack, Ronan sat alone outside the outpost. He thought about the queen's offer to bond with him. What did it really mean? To share power with an alien queen was strange. But if it helped him protect those who could not protect themselves, maybe it was worth the risk. When dawn broke, Ronan began his assault. The battle was fierce. The rebels fought hard to keep their position. Ronan moved like a shadow, striking fast and with deadly precision. His human determination pushed him beyond pain and fear. Despite being outnumbered, Ronan's tactics confused the rebels. He used the outpost's layout against them, setting traps of his own. One by one, the rebels fell or fled. At last, Ronan reached the command center. The rebel leader, a tall alien with cold eyes, stood waiting. "You are strong, human," the leader said. "But strength alone will not save you." Ronan raised his weapon. "I fight for more than strength. I fight for honor." The two clashed in a fierce duel. Ronan's training and ruthlessness surprised his opponent. In the end, Ronan stood victorious. With the outpost secured, Ronan sent a message to the queen. Hours later, the queen arrived with her guards. She walked through the outpost, inspecting the damage and the prisoners. When she came to Ronan, she looked him in the eyes. "You have done well," she said. "You fought with skill and heart. The humans I have heard about are fierce, but you are more than that. You are worthy." Ronan sheathed his weapon. "I did what I had to do." The queen smiled slightly. "There is more to come. The galaxy is full of challenges. But today, you have earned your place here." As they left the outpost, the queen spoke quietly, "Tomorrow, we will discuss the bond again. This time, you will have a choice." Ronan nodded. The battle was over, but his true journey was just beginning. Back in the palace, the queen sat alone in her chambers. She thought about the human warrior. So many had come and gone, broken by the Empire's weight. But Ronan was different. His strength was not just in his arms but in his will. She felt a stirring of respect and something she did not expect. The alien queen, ruler of many worlds, had a challenge before her. Could she trust a ruthless human warrior to stand by her side? Could the ancient bond bring them together or tear them apart? Only time would tell. The sun rose over the great city of Zarnuk, its light casting long shadows across the shining towers and wide streets. Ronan stood at the palace gates, looking out toward the horizon. His victory at the outpost had brought him respect, but he knew his true test was still ahead. The alien queen had promised to speak of the bond again, but first, she wanted to see more from the human warrior. Not just strength in battle, but strength of mind and heart. "Ronan," the queen's voice called from behind. He turned to see her approaching, her presence commanding and calm. "There is something you must understand. The galaxy beyond Zarnuk is not peaceful. Threats come from all sides. To protect my empire, I need more than warriors, I need leaders." Ronan nodded, his expression serious. "What do you want from me?" The queen stopped and looked him in the eyes. "There is a border planet called Draxen. It is rich in resources but controlled by a hostile alien group known as the Cravans. They are cruel and ruthless, constantly attacking our trade routes. I want you to lead a small team to secure Draxen's surface and establish a base. This mission will test your ability to command, to think beyond a fight." Ronan took a deep breath. "I understand. When do we leave?" "Tomorrow at dawn," the queen replied. "Prepare yourself." That night, Ronan planned carefully. He chose a small team of trusted warriors, Zarnuk soldiers who had fought alongside the queen's forces before. Some were wary of him, the human outsider, but most respected his recent victory. Ronan knew earning trust was as important as winning battles. At dawn, the team boarded a sleek starship. The engines hummed softly as they left the planet's atmosphere and entered the vastness of space. Ronan watched the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The journey to Draxen was long but quiet. The closer they came, the more Ronan studied the planet's surface. Vast deserts stretched across much of it, but hidden valleys and mountains offered natural defenses. When they landed, the team moved quickly. The Cravans had small outposts scattered around, guarding key resources. Ronan divided his forces carefully, assigning each group a target. The first clashes were small but fierce. The Cravans fought hard to keep their ground. Ronan realized quickly that his enemies were not just strong, they were clever. They used guerrilla tactics and hidden traps to slow his advance. But Ronan was not deterred. He learned from each encounter, adapting his plans and pushing forward. His human mind looked for patterns and weaknesses the others missed. Slowly, the team took control of more territory. One night, around a small campfire, Ronan sat with his closest warriors. They shared food and stories, the bonds of trust growing stronger. The Zarnuk soldiers began to see Ronan not just as a warrior, but as a leader who cared for them. "You fight like one of us," said a soldier named Varn, his voice low but respectful. "I never thought a human could lead Zarnik warriors so well." Ronan smiled. "We fight for the same cause. That is what matters." But even as they grew stronger, the Kravans planned their next move. One morning, scouts returned with urgent news: a large Kravan force was gathering to retake a key valley. If the Kravans succeeded, Ronan's mission would fail. Ronan gathered his team. "We cannot let them take the valley. We will meet them on our terms." The battle that followed was the hardest Ronan had faced so far. The Kravans attacked in waves, their numbers overwhelming. But Ronan used every lesson he had learned. He positioned his warriors in narrow passes where the enemy could not use their numbers well. He ordered precise strikes and retreats to tire the attackers. Hours passed with no clear winner. The soldiers on both sides fought with all their strength. Finally, Ronan spotted a weakness. A small group of Kravan warriors had separated from the main force to try and flank them. Ronan took a small team and moved quickly to stop them. His move was risky, but it worked. The Kravan flank was broken, and the main force began to lose hope. Slowly, the Kravans retreated, leaving the valley under Ronan's control. As the sun set, Ronan looked over his team. They were tired and wounded, but alive. The mission was a success. The next day, the queen arrived on Ruthlesn herself. She walked among the soldiers, nodding with approval. When she reached Ronan, she spoke softly. "You have done more than win a battle. You have earned respect, not just from your team, but from me." Ronan bowed his head. "Thank you, my queen. I will do whatever it takes to protect your empire." The queen smiled, but her eyes held a deeper thought. "The bond we spoke of soon, you will have to decide. But for now, you have passed the first test." As the queen's ship left the planet, Ronan stood watching. He knew that greater challenges were coming. The galaxy was full of dangers, but also full of chances for those brave enough to take them. For Ronan, the human warrior, the journey was just beginning. His place in the stars was being carved not by chance, but by strength, honor, and the promise of a bond that could change everything. The victory on Ruthlesn had brought peace, at least for a time. Ronan's name spread throughout the Empire as a fierce and capable leader. The alien queen, watching from her palace on Zarnik, began to see him not just as a warrior but as an important ally. Yet, the galaxy was far from calm. One day, an urgent message arrived at the queen's palace. A hostile alien race, the Varkish, had declared war on the Zarnik Empire. They were known for their brutal tactics and advanced technology. The Varkish fleet was approaching the capital planet with the intent to destroy the queen's rule and claim the empire's resources for themselves. The queen called a council of her advisors, but the tension in the room was thick. The empire's armies were strong, but the Varkish were unpredictable and dangerous. The queen's usual confidence was shaken. "Ronan," the queen said, her voice steady but serious as she summoned him. "This threat is unlike any before. I need you at my side. Together, we must defend our home." Ronan nodded. "I will not fail you." The queen and Ronan stood side by side as the Varkish fleet entered the planet's orbit. The sky above the capital darkened with thousands of enemy ships. The battle began with roar explosions filled the air, and the ground shook with the force of laser fire. Ronan led a group of elite fighters, striking deep into enemy ships that tried to land forces on the surface. His tactics were bold, and his courage inspired those around him. But the Varkish were relentless. The queen, meanwhile, coordinated her empire's defenses from the palace. She commanded ships, armies, and the city's defenses with skill, but even she felt the weight of the fight. As the battle raged on, Ronan found himself face to face with a Varkish commander. The enemy was fierce, with claws sharper than any sword and strength beyond most warriors. Their fight was brutal and close, neither giving ground. Suddenly, Ronan's team was surrounded by enemy reinforcements. It looked like defeat was near. But then, the Queen appeared on the battlefield herself. Using her own advanced combat skills, she fought alongside Ronan. Her presence changed the tide. The enemy faltered, surprised by the Queen's courage. Together, Ronan and the Queen moved like a single force. Ronan's ruthless fighting style and the Queen's strategic mind blended perfectly. They pushed back the enemy, forcing the Varkish to retreat. After the battle, the Queen and Ronan stood amid the ruins of the battlefield. The Queen looked at Ronan with new respect. "You fought well," she said. "Side by side, we are stronger than I imagined." Ronan wiped sweat from his brow. "We make a good team. But this war is far from over." The Queen nodded. "Indeed. But today, I see the value in the bond we spoke of. It may be time to begin." Ronan looked at her thoughtfully. The idea of bonding, once strange and distant, now seemed more real. He felt a connection with the Queen, a respect born not just of power, but of shared experience. That night, in the quiet of the palace, the Queen and Ronan spoke alone. "The bond is more than a ritual," the Queen explained. "It ties our fates together. It will give us strength no enemy can break. But it requires trust." Ronan met her gaze. "Trust is not easy for me. But I am willing to try." The Queen smiled softly. "Then we will begin when you are ready. But remember, once bonded, our lives are joined." Ronan nodded. He understood the risk, but he also saw the possibility of something greater. As dawn broke, the capital city began to rebuild. The people cheered for their queen and the human warrior who had helped save them. For the first time, many saw Ronan not as an outsider, but as a protector. The alien queen, who once trembled at the thought of bonding with a ruthless human warrior, now stood proudly beside him. Together, they faced a galaxy full of danger, united by choice and strength. Ronan's journey was no longer just his own. It was the story of two worlds coming together, a story that would change the future forever. The day of the bonding ceremony arrived with the light of twin suns shining bright over Zarnak's capital. The city buzzed with excitement and curiosity. Many had never witnessed the ancient ritual of bonding, especially not between the alien queen and a human warrior. In the great hall of the palace, banners fluttered, and the air was filled with soft music played on strange instruments. The queen sat on her throne, regal and calm, dressed in traditional robes that shimmered like starlight. Ronan stood before her, strong and steady, his armor polished and his expression serious. This was not just a ceremony. It was a moment that would change their lives and the fate of the empire forever. The queen began to speak, her voice clear and commanding. "The bond we share will connect our strengths, minds, and hearts. It will make us one in purpose and power." Ronan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He had fought many battles, but this challenge was different. It required trust, and that was something harder to win than any war. As the ritual began, the Queen and Ronan each held a small crystal glowing with a soft blue light. The crystals pulsed with energy, reacting to their touch. Slowly, the energy flowed between them, weaving an invisible thread that tied their spirits together. For a moment, Ronan felt a strange sensation. Memories not his own flickered in his mind, a glimpse of the Queen's long history, her victories and losses, her hopes and fears. At the same time, the Queen sensed Ronan's strength, his battles, and his will to protect. The bond was forming. Suddenly, the light from the crystals flared brightly, filling the room with a brilliant glow. The people watching gasped, feeling the power radiate through the hall. When the light faded, the Queen and Ronan looked at each other with new understanding. They were no longer just ruler and warrior, they were partners, joined by the ancient bond. The Queen stood and extended her hand. "Welcome, Ronan. You are now part of the Empire in a way no other human has been. Together, we will face whatever comes." Ronan took her hand firmly. I am ready. Outside the palace, the citizens cheered. The bond gave them hope. It showed that even in a universe full of differences, unity was possible. In the days that followed, Ronan and the Queen worked closely together. The bond gave them new abilities. They could sense danger before it came, communicate without words, and share their strength in battle. It was a power unlike any Ronan had ever known. But with great power came great responsibility. The Varkish threat had not disappeared. Reports came of enemy spies trying to sabotage the city's defenses. Ronan and the Queen knew they had to act fast. One evening, Ronan received a message. A secret group of Varkish agents had been spotted near the city's main power source. If the power failed, the city would be vulnerable. Without hesitation, Ronan led a small team to find and stop the spies. The mission was dangerous. The Varkish agents were skilled and hidden well. But the bond between Ronan and the Queen gave him an edge. He could feel her guiding him, sharing her knowledge even from afar. In the dark tunnels beneath the city, Ronan found the Varkish agents planting explosives. He struck quickly, taking them by surprise. The fight was intense but brief. Ronan's team captured the spies and defused the bombs just in time. Returning to the surface, Ronan felt a new sense of purpose. The bond was more than a connection, it was a promise to protect the Empire and its people. Back in the palace, the Queen greeted him with a rare smile. You grow stronger every day, Ronan. The bond has made us both better. Ronan looked at her with respect. I could not do this without you. The Queen's eyes softened. Nor I without you. Together, we are unstoppable. But the galaxy beyond Zarnuk was still full of dangers. The Varkish were regrouping, and other enemies watched from the shadows. For now, Ronan and the Queen stood united. Their bond was a new light in the dark, a sign that even the most unlikely allies could become the greatest force. And this was only the beginning. The days after the bonding ceremony were filled with hope and determination. Ronan and the alien Queen worked together closely, their bond strengthening with each passing moment. The citizens of Zarnuk saw them as a symbol of unity and power. A new era was dawning. But not all welcomed this change. In the quiet corners of the Empire, hidden from the bright lights of the capital, a shadow grew. There were those who feared the bond between a human and the Queen. Some whispered that Ronan was an outsider, unworthy of the trust and power he now held. Others wanted to see the Queen's rule weakened by any means. One such group was led by a powerful noble named Varric. He was ambitious and jealous, watching Ronan rise with growing anger. Varric believed the Empire belonged only to those born under the stars of Zarnuk, not to a human warrior. Varric met secretly with his followers in a dark chamber beneath the city. This bond is a threat to our future, he said, voice low but fierce. If the Queen continues to trust the human, we will lose everything. We must act before it is too late. His followers nodded, eyes burning with determination. Meanwhile, Ronan sensed the growing tension but did not yet understand its source. He was focused on preparing the Empire's defenses against the Varkish, who remained a dangerous enemy. One evening, as Ronan trained with his warriors in the palace courtyard, he felt a sudden chill, a warning from the bond with the Queen. Something was wrong. The Queen appeared beside him, her expression serious. I sense danger near. Someone moves against us. Ronan tightened his grip on his weapon. Who would dare? The Queen shook her head. I do not know. But we must be careful. That night, the palace was restless. Guards increased their patrols, and Ronan stayed alert. Suddenly, alarms rang out. The palace was under attack. Shadows moved through the corridors, masked figures with weapons, trying to reach the Queen's chambers. Ronan and his warriors fought fiercely, defending the palace with skill and courage. In the chaos, Ronan faced a masked attacker who fought with brutal strength. The fight was hard and close, but Ronan's determination won. He unmasked the attacker. It was one of the Queen's trusted guards, turned against her. The Queen's face showed sadness and shock. The enemy is closer than I thought. Ronan nodded. We must find who is behind this. Over the next days, Ronan and the Queen worked to uncover the conspiracy. They discovered Varric's plan to overthrow the Queen and break the bond with Ronan. Varric had secretly gathered weapons and supporters, waiting for the right moment to strike. The Queen's council was divided. Some were loyal, others afraid, or greedy. The Empire's future hung in the balance. Ronan stood before the Queen, ready to act. We cannot wait. If Varric's rebellion grows, it will destroy everything. The Queen agreed. Then we must stop him now. Together, they planned a daring move. Ronan would lead a small team to capture Varric and his followers before they could attack the palace again. The mission was dangerous. Varric's group was hidden in the mountain strongholds outside the city, protected by traps and loyal guards. Ronan and his team moved through the dark forests and rocky hills, using their skills to avoid detection. The bond with the Queen guided him, sharing strength and senses. When they reached Varric's stronghold, Ronan sent a message to the Queen. We are ready. The Queen responded, strike now. The battle was fierce. Varric's forces fought with desperation, but Ronan's team was better trained and more determined. In the heart of the stronghold, Ronan confronted Varric. The noble was proud and angry, but Ronan's strength and resolve were stronger. You threaten the Empire, Ronan said. Your greed will bring ruin. Varric sneered. The Empire belongs to those with power. You are just a human and outsider. Ronan raised his weapon. I am more than that. I am the Queen's bond, and I protect this empire. With a swift move, Ronan defeated Varric. The rebellion collapsed as his followers surrendered. Returning to the palace, Ronan and the Queen were greeted with relief and praise. The empire was safe, for now. The Queen looked at Ronan with deep gratitude. You have saved not only me but all of Zarnuk. Ronan smiled. We stand together. Nothing can break us. But the shadows of doubt still lingered in some hearts. The bond was strong, but the path ahead was filled with challenges. The alien Queen and the ruthless human warrior had proven their strength, but the galaxy was vast, and new dangers were waiting in the darkness. Together, they would face whatever came, united by choice and courage. The Empire breathed a sigh of relief. The rebellion led by Varric was crushed, the traitors captured or fled into the shadows. Yet, even in peace, Ronan and the alien Queen knew that threats still lurked beyond the stars. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable. In the great hall of the palace, Ronan stood beside the Queen as she addressed the council. Her voice was strong and clear. We have survived this test, but our work is not finished. The Varkish still threaten us. Other enemies watch and wait. But today, we show them something new, unity between worlds. The council members murmured their agreement. Many who once doubted Ronan now respected him as an equal partner. Ronan felt a deep sense of pride, not for himself, but for what they had achieved together. The bond was no longer just a ceremony or power. It was a symbol of hope. After the meeting, Ronan and the Queen walked through the palace gardens. The air was cool, and the stars twinkled above them. The twin moons of Zarnuk shone bright, casting silver light over the flowers. The Queen looked at Ronan and smiled softly. You have changed everything. Ronan returned her smile. And you gave me a chance. Their bond connected them not only in battle or strategy but in understanding. It was more than strength, it was trust and respect. Suddenly, a message arrived from the outer colonies. A new alien race, unknown to the Empire, had been spotted near a remote system. Their technology was advanced, and their intentions unclear. The Queen's expression grew serious. The galaxy continues to change. We must be ready. Ronan nodded. Then we will face this new challenge as one. The weeks that followed were filled with preparation. Ronan trained new warriors, blending human tactics with Zarnuk tradition. The Queen worked to strengthen alliances and prepare defenses. As the new alien race approached, scouts reported their ships were powerful but cautious. They had not attacked but seemed curious. Ronan and the Queen decided to send envoys to meet the newcomers, hoping for peace but ready for conflict. The meeting took place on a neutral space station, a place of light and silence far from any empire. The alien leaders were tall, with glowing skin and eyes that shone like stars. They spoke in a language both strange and beautiful. Through translators and patience, Ronan and the Queen learned their story. This new race, called the Sirith, had lived in isolation for centuries. They sought knowledge and friendship, not war. A new hope grew between the empires. Returning to Zarnuk, Ronan and the Queen shared the news. "The galaxy is bigger than we thought," said Ronan. "And not all who are different are enemies." The Queen nodded. "Unity is the greatest strength. Together, we build a future where all can live in peace." The bond between Ronan and the Queen had started as a necessity, a way to face enemies and survive. But it had become something greater, a bridge between worlds, a promise of a better tomorrow. The citizens of Zarnuk celebrated their leaders, proud of the new era. Ronan, the ruthless human warrior who once was feared, was now a hero and a symbol of hope. As the twin sun set over the empire, Ronan and the Queen stood together on the palace balcony, looking toward the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and mysteries, but also full of possibilities. Together, they would face whatever came. United by choice, by courage, and by the bond that no enemy could break. The future was theirs to shape.